Russell. This is the Fallout from Dishonor podcast. It is Thursday, November the 4th at the time of recording, and should be the date of this dropping as well. So today is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be a bit Ring of Honor centric this episode. I just thought it would be kind of cool because this is what I tried to do for the first episode or two. I don't remember exactly how many it went like that, but that's the way the show had started. Given all the crazy news that's been going on, I thought it would be cool to kind of be Ring of Honor centric just for this episode. When I record this Sunday and the new episode drops on Monday, like it always does. Usually, I've did miss this past Monday, but you'll have to forgive me because I had a show, band stuff the night before. The weekend was really hectic. So starting out on a somewhat sour note, it appears that Danhausen has broken his leg. Now, this past Sunday, he was at an event, the Next Generations Wrestling in Knoxville, Tennessee, against a tag team named the Renegades of Flight. He was teaming with Warhorse. Now, so to get a more detailed description as to what happened, if you go to wrestling.com and look up one of their articles about this, if you scroll down, it will quote a Reddit user. If you click on it, it'll take you to a link with a Reddit user named Johnny_D87. He's wrote the following: I was at the show tonight. It was the first time seeing him live. The match was great, but he was in the corner when one of his opponents did a coast-to-coast and landed on his leg. Danhausen grabbed it immediately. He laid on the apron for the rest of the match, and they carried him to the back after Warhorse won. So, very unfortunate news there. Another piece that a lot of people are not talking about, there is another wrestler that was on the same card the same night named Mance Warner, I believe is how you pronounce the first name. Forgive me if I'm butchering that. He was also injured. The articles that mention both of them have mentioned that of the two injuries, his seemed to be more severe. I don't have a ton of details about that particular one. What I'm going to do for both men is I'm going to link their pro wrestling tee stores in the description of this podcast if you would like to help them out by buying some of their merchandise, pay some medical bills and such. I'm sure they'd enjoy it. Danhausen in particular, I don't have it in my notes, but I already know he is scheduled to get surgery Friday, so actually tomorrow. And it would appear, according to a lame duck Simpsons reference, he is going to have a metal rod put in his leg. So I wish both of them a speedy recovery. Locally, if you're planning on attending the Prestige Wrestling show that's happening in February in Portland, Oregon, Prestige just put out a statement in related news. We have very high hopes he will be recovered, he being Danhausen, nearly 4 months away. But if he is not, we are leaning towards him being there as a host or special guest. Prestige also just announced him for their Friday or February 25th date in Las Vegas. So I doubt that they would continue to announce him for shows if they didn't at least intend for him to be there. So in sort of related Ring of Honor and booking notes, after ROH's announcement last week on the 27th, ROH champion Bandito was announced for some up-and-coming GCW shows, December the 3rd in Houston, the 4th in Dallas, and the 17th in Los Angeles. Also, in case you didn't already know, the Briscoes have won the GCW Tag titles from Mance Warner and Matthew Justice. I think I may have. I don't really remember if I covered that or not on the last podcast. So this past Sunday, ROH TV didn't exactly go off without a hitch. Sinclair had some ransomware attacks a couple of weeks ago, and from what I gather, was not able to air the weekly TV like they normally would. There was a Halloween episode on ROH's YouTube channel that you can go check out at your leisure. You don't have to even get on their website, but as far as that goes, it's basically, it would appear that is basically what they would have, I'm guessing, put on TV this past week had it not been for what's going on with Sinclair. So we got an intro from Delirious, which was just gibberish basically, because Quinn McKay would be in the very first match. Max the Impaler and Miranda Alizé took on Quinn McKay and Roxy. This match was good, in my opinion. It was pretty much what you would expect. Lots of back and forth. As soon as Max got in, pretty much everything went downhill for Quinn McKay at that point. Miranda got the win after the chaos from Max. Now, how should I put this? Watching this match makes what's going on with Ring of Honor at the end of the year, it makes, in my opinion, a little unfortunate. Max the Impaler is a wrestler that I have high hopes for. I'm sure that they will be a success wherever the hell they go. But it's unfortunate to see what's going on with Ring of Honor. I'm still not giving up hope, but it's looking bleak. Following match was Demonic Flamita and O'Shea Edwards versus Silas Young and Ray Horace versus CB and EC3 versus Flip Gordon and Matt Taven. I don't really have any notes for this. This match was absolute fucking chaos. All of that said, the winners were Silas and Horace. The main event was for the 6-man tag team championships. Shane Taylor Productions, of course, versus PCO, Sledge, and Danhausen. They finally got their shot at the tag team gold. I was, of course, rooting for Danhausen to reign supreme in this. I wasn't super hopeful that they'd put the belts on him, but you never know. There was a few comedy spots with Danhausen. PCO at one point began to gain some momentum, running over his opponents, and then would take a dive outside of the ring onto absolutely no one. At this point, Sledge got super frustrated. Him and PCO have been going back and forth. This would basically lead to Shane Taylor Production getting the win. Now, it's interesting to me. It obviously looks like there's going to be something going on with PCO and Sledge going forward. Again, it is November the 4th at the time of recording this. There is a pay-per-view Final Battle scheduled for early December. There's also an Honor Club member special. We'll get into that in a minute. What I was trying to get at with Sledge and PCO, it would seem, in my opinion, that I would think they would want to blow this off. I know PCO's contract is up December the 1st. So I don't know that they can stretch this out unless he's willing to come back for the pay-per-view Final Battle. Unless maybe they're just going to blow it off on TV in the next few weeks. As I am recording right now, I know starting Tuesday they were doing TV tapings. I don't know exactly how long they were going. Seen posts on Twitter for the last couple days about it from their wrestlers. Now, the Ring of Honor special that I had mentioned, it is called Honor for All. It is going to be streaming on Sunday, November the 14th for Honor Club members only. I don't think this is something that you can order on pay-per-view, or maybe it'll be on Fight TV. I don't really know. That hasn't been advertised as such. But what we're getting there is Trish Adora versus Holy Dead versus Quinn McKay versus Von Starr. If I had to guess, I would say this has some type of championship implications. They've been making a big deal on their YouTube shows about who will challenge Roxy next. I'm not saying that's a number one contendership match, but there's still some time. Tracy Williams versus Taylor Rust. Brody King versus Jonathan Gresham. For the GCW World Tag Team Championship, tag titles, Jay and Mark Briscoe versus Effie and AJ Gray. For the Ring of Honor World Tag titles, we'll get Dragon Lee and Kenny King versus the OGK, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. For the World Championship, we will get a no disqualification match. Bandito versus Demonic Flamita. That is going to about do it, unfortunately. Like I said, this was going to be a pretty short episode. It is what it is, unfortunately. I am saddened by the situation with Ring of Honor. I guess one piece of news I could give you. So Sinclair Broadcasting did their quarterly earnings call. And now the company, it would appear, is $12 billion in debt. That situation is a little more complicated than it probably appears. Sinclair Broadcasting, before the pandemic, bought Fox Sports and several channels related to them, and it would appear had planned on coming up with their own sports streaming service thing. They're getting ready to launch that, and about $8 billion of that debt is involved with that company. I don't know. I'm not really convinced that them being this far in debt is necessarily wave the red flag just yet. A lot of streaming services, before they get up and running, go into debt like this. I don't know with a sports streaming service how that's going to work exactly, but whatever the situation is, I'm sure they'll have paid memberships just like everyone else out there. But I would not be surprised if all of that stuff is tied to the whether or not they bring Ring of Honor back in March or April like they've been talking about. So going forward with the podcast, here's what's going to happen. I've been covering Ring of Honor for a long time. I'm not changing that just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the weekly TV, assuming that there is an episode this Sunday, like I always have. If they don't have one, I guess I'll just have to skip it. But I'll be covering it just like I always do up until the pay-per-view, which I will do a review about, just as I will with this Honor for All card, by the way. And then after that, Obviously, I'll be cooling it with the Ring of Honor stuff, and we will just have to wait and see what happens. After I cover the Final Battle pay-per-view, I am thinking about putting together another episode solely based around Ring of Honor, kind of like this one. There'll be a little bit more details as far as what that's going to be in the future. I haven't really decided. Next weekend, I will be covering the AEW pay-per-view and the Honor for All special, I guess you would call it. So that'll about do it for this episode. Don't forget, in the description, there should be the Pro Wrestling Tee stores for Danhausen and Mance. If you want to help them out, go buy some merchandise. I'm sure that they would love that. Other than that, if you liked what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. If you'd like to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this, if it's available, I would appreciate that. That's going to do it, and I will talk to you guys next time.